Hey, what's going on, everybody? I'm just your average Canadian man here to. Oh, where's Tyler? All right, I'm here to make a few corrections about some things that I might have said incorrectly in some of my most recent videos. So, without much ado, let's just jump right into it.
Science, spirit, life. Nerd Pope King.
First, we have Karen Christopher letting me know that when I said
That's okay.
and now King Charles the First,
Got it.
that it's actually King Charles the Third. My apologies, King Charles. Thank you very much, Karen. Next, we have Glenn Stewart, who was responding to Janie. What's up? Oh, you're on a diet. You get fed later. You gotta wait for Blue Moon. It's okay. It's okay. Blue Moon being the alarm sound I have when it's her time to get food and get shot. And asked, is my cat diabetic? Yes. Janine, or Janie Cat, is a 17-year-old diabetic tuxedo cat. She was born in a barn and raised with me. And a few years ago, she was diagnosed diabetic. And as a word of caution to any cat owners out there, watch what you're feeding them, because a lot of these foods that contain wheat are going to increase their glucose levels, which is why I have to give her an insulin shot twice a day, feeding her twice a day on a very regular schedule every day. So, Glenn, thank you for your comments and thank you for joining me here. Next, we have Vodre Lavale, who wanted to talk about the Quiet Revolution in response to me saying,
The Quiet Revolution. I've not heard of this.
yeah, I'm sure I learned this in school, but it's not something I'd retain. But I do remember that the church was very much involved in Quebec, and then this happened, and they were less involved. All right. So we have here the Richard Riot, the October Crisis, the FLQ, and the War Measures Act. Pierre Elliott Trudeau saying, just watch me, and Tommy Douglas saying, the government, I submit, is using a sledgehammer to crack a peanut, and the tragically hip song, Locked in the Trunk of a Car. I'm sorry, I'm not really remembering the Quiet Revolution, but I do remember the whole October Crisis, the War Measures Act, and Pierre Elliott Trudeau. And he's referring to the Canada Land podcast, Life and Death in Asbestos, Quebec. Yes, there's a town called Asbestos in Quebec. They have asbestos in Quebec. Talks about how corrupt Maurice Duplessis was at a time when all the workers were French and the bosses were Anglo, or English, where the priest would ask a woman with 7 kids why she wasn't pregnant. That would be Guy Caron's mother. A common slogan was Maître chez vous, masters of our own house. And a popular book was Blanc d'Amérique. Yeah, okay. So, Vaudrey Lavallée, thank you very much. Je vous apprécie. Next, we have Starrick79 responding to, and we do a very similar way to Germany, except for their whole chancellor thing. He says, here it's essential because the chancellor is elected by simple majority vote from the Bundestag, which is what the House of Commons is in Canada. So if only the largest party that doesn't have 50% of all the seats would vote for a person, they would fail to get enough votes. So a coalition, or at least kind of an agreement with another party, is required to even become chancellor. That's why Germany never had a minority government so far. Now, yes, we don't have the chancellor in our House of Commons, your Bundestag. We can have a minority government, and that minority party in power does sort of form a coalition with one of the other minority powers, and that's how they get the majority of things done. But let's say red team and orange team up to be the power of the house, and blue team makes a really good point. Orange team can jump sides and say, you know what, red team, you're wrong, we're not going to agree with you on that. So it's just a different way of running government. Anyway, thank you, Starry 79. You rock. Next, we have Michael Yoder, appreciating Tyler for at least wanting to learn about Canada. Most Americans barely know we exist. Yes, I agree that I appreciate Tyler for wanting to learn more. That's great. And most Americans barely knowing we exist, I would disagree. They know we exist. They just don't know anything about us. Refer to Rick Mercer's Talking to Americans for more information. Thank you, Michael. Next, we have Mike Connolly referring to this. Louisiana, New Orleans, Cajun French. There's a history behind that starts up in Canada. They are descendants of the Acadians, or les Acadiens. Basically saying that when colonization was happening, we would claim land by placing a mark at the headwaters of a river to essentially claim all the lands that the river drained into. The French, marking Mississippi River that drained into Louisiana, would explain why Louisiana was Francais, and explaining the Louisiana Purchase because France was at war with the British at the same time as the American Revolution, and that's why the French and the Americans joined up together against the British, and what resulted in the Statue of Liberty provided by France as a gift to America. Yes, Canadians are aware of that. Thank you, Mike. Moving on, we have David Menzies responding to me saying this. Star Trek's James Doohan fought at Vimy Ridge. And thank you, David. You are absolutely correct. James Doohan, or Scotty, of the original Star Trek series, did not fight Vimy Ridge in World War I. He fought Juno Beach in World War II. Very easy to muddle up all these timelines for someone like me. I spent over 20 years, let's say, in a haze, if you know what I mean. And thank you for pointing that out, David. You're awesome. Next, we have Sandra LaChance, appalled that Canadian English people don't learn more about the Plains of Abraham. In Quebec, we heard about that war ad nauseum, and, you know, we definitely heard about it in Ontario. I don't recognize the Battle of the Plains of Abraham, but I believe you that you heard about it way more in Quebec than we did in Ontario. So, Sandra LaChance, merci beaucoup pour votre information. Je vous aime et vous êtes excellente. Moving on, we have Derek Harlock. In BC, you must be homeschooling by right-wingers. Derek, I don't know what you're talking about, but I recognize that in 1967, things were different than in the 1990s. So what you learned would be different from what I learned, and I hope you're okay with that. I'd like to take a moment to thank Blake Lau for pointing out I was wrong when I said Texas will fit into Ontario 3 times. And that Texas does not fit into Ontario 3 times, but in fact, if we take into account all of the land and water of Ontario and all the land of Texas, do the math, it's roughly 1.5 times that Texas will fit in Ontario. So thank you very much. We appreciate this. Correction, learning together is really what we're here for, right? Thank you. And finally, but definitely not in the least at all important, we have Paul saying Canada didn't start Confederation in the 1880s like I said here. Confederation began in the 1880s. but instead that Confederation was in 1867, which is absolutely correct and explains why I went to a school that was known as a Centennial, because it opened in 1967. So thank you very much for your input here. You rock. I appreciate your information. And hey, that's all for me for now. So thank you very much for everyone who left comments so far. Thank you for everyone who's liking the video, subscribing. Please keep on watching, commenting, and share this video with 2 friends who you think might like it. Share this video on social media, because I'm not on any social medias. So if you share this with 2 friends, and they share with 2 friends, and they share with 2 friends, I might make 2 new friends. Well, thank you very much, and that's all for me for now. Y'all just keep being awesome. Bye.
Science, spirit, life. Nerd Pope King.